Om. ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्महेधी वेदस्य महानिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यत् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव यादव हे सखेति हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति. Narayan, 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 Narayan. First of all, I wish all other listeners of our podcast a very happy Ekadashi, which is coming up tomorrow. So may Bhagwan Krishna and Bhagwan Narayana bless us all. Verse number 33, chapter 3. I'll read the verse and we'll straight get into the meaning from where we left in the last session. सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृतेर्ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति. सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृतेर्ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति. Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna is bringing to our attention an eternal reality about us all. So Bhagavan is giving here a simile about what is the power of nature on each one of us. And to put emphasis on that example, well, Bhagavan is to put emphasis on that point, on that aspect of our philosophy. Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna is invoking the example of a Jnanavan. Jnanavan means a man of realization, a man of steady wisdom, a Sthita Prajna, a Jnani. So here the question where we left in the last session is after whatever we discussed in the last session, one question will strike in our mind, it will arise in our mind, that if all of us as a living jiva, especially I'm talking about human beings here, if we all act in the world according to each one of us's nature, which we have cultivated over the past life and portion of this life we have lived, including even, and we are talking here, including a jnani, a man of steady wisdom, is going to act in this world according to the nature cultivated, then the burning question which should arise in all of us is there a path available at all for human beings to evolve or change or improve? How will a man and be able to work towards his improvement or evolution? And this is the aspect where we need to dwell deeper into and think in its entire aspect. I told you in the last session, this verse is very deep. Do not just take the literal meaning and walk away with a small level of understanding. Yes, this topic needs some deep thinking, and that is what we need to do in this session today. Now I'm going to bring out an aspect of spirituality to you, and I will give you an example of some other paths, especially the Marg. Yog Marg means Ashtang Yog Marg or Patanjali Yog Marg, or whichever way you call it. The Yog Marg also, I'll give an example. I'll bring out the example to tell you what exactly we need to understand from this. Now, since we need to deep think over this, be ready to, open up your intellect with a completely clean slate and understand what I'm trying to talk about, the truth about spirituality here. Okay. Now, when a student of Vedanta or the one who is researching on Vedanta or the one who is doing deep study of Vedanta, a seeker or a student of Vedanta, whichever way I call it, the question which will arise in that is that if a person is doing deep study of Vedanta, whether that study of Vedanta or understanding the aspects of Vedanta will improve his habit and nature at all or not. So that's a question we need to little bit deep think about. The reality is, the topic which is expounded by Vedanta or the topic which is expounded by spiritual deep study of Vedanta, or end of Vedanta or Upanishad, or whichever way you call it. You can I would use the word, okay, let me use a word which I gave in the last session also, and I've said it earlier also, Prasthanatrayi. The moment I say Prasthanatrayi, the one thing which should strike in our mind is the study of Upanishads, the study of Bhagavad Gita, and the study of Brahma Sutra. These three things combined comes as Prasthanatrayi. Okay, and Prasthanatrayi are the three things which are required if you really want to understand the Sanatan Dharam's self-knowledge. And all the great saints and sages have been in a guru because they have all been in capable, eligible to teach Prasthanatrayi. Okay, now teaching Prasthanatrayi, especially when I talk about deeper topics like Brahma Sutra and all, it's not everyone's area at all. Even those who are doing research on philosophy, Sanatan Dharam philosophy or Vedanta, so to say, philosophical teacher is one thing, a guru or a saint is another thing altogether. Now, this is an aspect we need to understand. Why? Because our scriptures also say that if there is a disconnect between the scripture and the words of a master, a spiritual master, or the one who is a Brahmagyani, the one who is a Shrotriya Brahmanist Guru, then you have the thing that you can drop the words of the scripture and take the words of the Brahmagyani or the Shrotriya Brahmanist Guru. Why? Because a Shrotriya Brahmanist Guru is actually not speaking from the book, he or she is speaking from their own experience. Okay, and I told you in the topic of self-knowledge, our Upanishads also say one thing very clearly, that they cannot teach you everything about the Brahman. They can try to, the way the Upanishads teaches is neti neti iti vakyataha. This is not Brahman, this is not Brahman, this is not Brahman. Negate all that you have misconstrued as the supreme truth, misconstrued as reality, misconstrued as the truth in this creation. Negate all that. What is left is Brahman. So remember one thing, Upanishads are teaching us about Brahma, Brahmagyan, or Brahman, or the self-knowledge by way of negating all our misunderstandings which have gathered, which we have collected in our intellect as of today. That what you understood, this is not that, this is not that, this is not that. That is the way Upanishads teach us. Neti neti iti vakyata. Na iti iti vakyata. That is what it means. No, this is not Brahman, that is not Brahman. Now, after negating all that, whatever is left, that is Brahman. Why? Because remember one thing, the supreme consciousness cannot be explained by words. Why? Because words are also part of this creation and they are also created. Created cannot explain the creator. Words also find it difficult to explain about the Brahman, explain about the supreme consciousness, because they are part of this created. That's why they do not have the capability, they cannot explain Brahman in its entirety. And I also said in one of the sessions before, in Purusha Suktam it comes, Tripadasya Amritam Divi. By 1/4 of the creator, all of this created world has manifested with 1/4 of his of the power of creator. With 1/4 of him, all of this is created world has manifested. Tripadasya Amritam Divi. 3/4 of him is always Amritam. Amritam means unknown. He is beyond the reach of all of us. With 1/4, all galaxies put together, the entire created, not only the world I'm talking about, all the galaxies put together, whatever exists here, all the created world is created by 1/4 of the Supreme Consciousness. The 3/4 of Supreme Consciousness is never known to anyone. Tripad Asya, Tripad means 3/4. Tripad asya amritam divi. Know that to be amritam. Amritam means that which is beyond the reach of all this created world. So you can well imagine what are we talking about. So words are also part of the created. So Upanishads also find it difficult to explain, but there is no proof of supreme consciousness. There is nothing which can help you gain the knowledge of supreme consciousness apart from Prasthanatrayi. There is no proof of that knowledge at all apart from Prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi is the only source of knowing supreme consciousness. And not because I'm a Sanatani, I'm saying this. I'm telling you the truth. That is the part of this creation. And I've said that in before also when I said about Upodghat or Prastavna Bhashya of Bhagwan Shankaracharya. At that time also I brought that up, that aspect. So the point which needs to be understood is apart from Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutra, there is no other source which can expound upon the Supreme Consciousness. Now, the question which comes is, since the topic of Vedanta, the topic of Prasthanatrayi is the knowledge of Brahman. Okay, now hear this very clearly. If you miss out even one portion of it, there is a very high possibility that you may take away with a wrong understanding. That is the reason I'm marking this word here itself. Please listen to it attentively. If you do not get something, re-listen to it again and again so that you understand in its correct aspect. So the topic of Vedanta or Prasthanatrayi is actually the knowledge of supreme consciousness or Brahman. Now, knowledge is never the controller or the governing body for actions. Okay, and listen to this very carefully. Rather, knowledge actually tries to pierce through our action. If we call the word in Sanskrit called ज्ञान जो है वो असल में व्यवहार का नियामक नहीं है, वो व्यवहार का उच्छेदक है. If I say this way, you may not get it. Many of you may not get it. That's why I'm trying to explain this to you in English actually. The knowledge of Vedanta, the topic of Vedanta is the knowledge of supreme consciousness. Okay, and remember, knowledge is never the governing body or the controlling authority for our actions. Rather, knowledge is the one which pierces through the action and explains us to understand the gamut behind it correctly, the core behind it correctly. Now, since knowledge is not the governing body, not the controlling authority for our action, knowledge only, the role of knowledge is to only dispel darkness or remove ignorance. It is only, I will use the word, I'll explain it to you in Hindi also, वो केवल अज्ञान का निवर्तक है. अज्ञान का निवर्तक है means it is the only thing which knowledge does is it removes ignorance. It destroys ignorance. It dispels the darkness of ignorance. Okay. What is the ignorance it dispels? The fact called the doership, karta, enjoyership, bhokta, because of which all these actions are being done by us. Because of the doership and enjoyership, the core reason behind all our actions. And this one, what it is, the knowledge explains it clearly and proves it to us through different examples that this doership and enjoyership experience of ours is false. It's mithya. And the knowledge which established the falseness of this aspect which we have inflicted on us called doership and enjoyership, the only source of it is Vedanta or Prasthanatrayi. Okay. Now this much I have tried to be slow to explain you so that you get it in the correct way. Now that jiva, the one who is acting in this world, the one who is setting out into action in this world, Vedanta or Prasthanatrayi proves that his or her jivatva is a false or a misunderstood thing altogether. It is something called an adhyasa. It is something which is inflicted upon us because of our false understanding. Vedanta or Prasthanatrayi proves that these aspects, we are not a jiva at all. And one thing I can bring out here is, one stuti of Hasta from Hasta Malaka Stotram. I'll bring it out for you now. While the stotram is long, I'm only going to bring out 3 verses for you to just draw your attention to the fact about the knowledge of Vedanta. So I'll just give you a brief background about Hasta Malakji also. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji was, walking through. You already know that Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has walked the length and breadth of this country couple of times. And, before he left this earth, he had walked this length and breadth of this country. He established so many mathas as for, dispersing of the knowledge of Vedanta, knowledge of Vedas. He's set up so many centers. So once he was walking in such a spree, there were he suddenly came across parents, husband and wife, who were very, very sad at thinking about their child. So they told Astamalak that my child does not do anything. He just sits and looks at the sky and don't know what is he doing. Whatever work we give him, he doesn't want to do at all. Can you take him to your ashram? So parents used to think that if a kid is not doing anything, the best way is send him to ashram. But that's not the correct way. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji went to Astamalak and he saw the kid. And he looked at him and he said, let me ask him a question. So that is how this Hasta Malaka Stotram starts. So it says, Acharya Uvacha. Acharya here is Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. Acharya Uvacha. Kastvam Shishokasya Kutosi Ganta Kim Namate Tvam Kuta Agatosi Etanmayoktam Vadachar Bhakatvam Matpritaye Priti Vivardhanosi. So that is the question which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji asks. He looks at the kid and asks, Kastvam Shisho, O kid, who are you? Kasya Kutosi Ganta, where are you going? Kim namate tvam kuta agatosi. What is your name and where have you come from? Etan maya uktam vada charbhakatvam mat pritaye priti vivardhanosi. If you just explain me these words, I'll be very happy to know your introduction. So apparently, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji must have seen something. So, they are thinking that, this kid is actually mentally retarded or something. He's lost his mental balance or something. And they've lost hope in him. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji saw, so he asked this question directly to the kid. Now you see Hasta Malaka Uvacha. I'm only going to read 2 verses of Hasta Malaka Uvacha. You can and just get the gist of what he was thinking and where he was. Hasta Malaka Uvacha. Naham manushyo na cha deva yakshau na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudrah na brahmachari na grahi vanastho bhikshur na chaham nijabodharupah. So Hasta Malaka in his first line itself in his introduction says, Naham manushyo, na aham manushyo, na cha deva yaksho. I am not a human being, neither I am a deity, nor a devta, nor a yaksha. I am not even yaksha, not even devata. Now he brings out here, na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudra. I am neither a Brahman, nor a Kshatriya, nor a Vaishya, nor a Shudra. The four ways we classify people in the caste system. Na Brahmachari, na Grahi Vanasto. I am neither a Brahmachari, I don't even fall into the category of a Brahmachari, the Ashram Vyavastha. Na Grahi, I am neither a Grahastha, nor na Vanastha. neither a vanaprasthi. What am I then? Bhikshu. I am a bhikshu, I am a beggar. And what is that I am begging? Bhikshur na chaham nija bodha rupa. I am neither a bhikshu also, but what I am wanting is I am actually begging to know about the nija bodha rupa. I want to know that I am the supreme consciousness itself. Nija bodha rupa. Bhikshurna cha aham. I'm neither a bhikshu also. In the technical term, we say, one becomes a bhikshu to, walk the path and then know the self. Here he says, Nija bodha rupa. I am nothing but the supreme consciousness itself. I am the self itself. In the next verse, which is the last verse I'm going to pick up now, he says, Nimittam manaschakshuradi pravruttau nirasta khilopadhirakashakalpah ravirlokacheshta nimittam yathayah sanityoupalabdhi swarupohamatma sanityoupalabdhi swarupohamatma sanityoupalabdhi swarupohamatma. Wow, what a beauty. Now, after this, every verse ends with this word, Sanityo Upalabdhi Swarupohamatma. He is explaining the true form of the self or supreme consciousness. That supreme consciousness is always, Sanitya Upalabdhi is always available to all of us as how Swarupo Aham Atma, as my own true self residing inside me. That is the level of knowledge of Hasta Malakji. And it is said that Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he did namaskar to him and took him along with him and made him one of the Shankaracharya ji of one of his mathas. So that is how the story goes. So I'm trying to explain here, that is why one thing you understand, Vedant is not a knowledge, is not a stream of knowledge to improve our nature or improve our habit. But there is another aspect also. Then the question should come is, what is that will help improve our habits, improve our nature? What is that will help us establish ourselves in auspicious kind of habits and nature? What is that which rules over our actions? What is that which is a controller of our action? What is that which is a regulator of our action? What is that which will channelize our action correctly? Remember, that aspect which is going to do all those things is called, or dharma shastra. Dharma is the thing. And remember one thing, that is why when you talk about Vedas, why Upanishads are called Vedanta? Vedanta, one, the literal meaning we may see that end of Vedas, but that's not the meaning of Vedanta here. That which is the culminatory knowledge of Vedas, that which is the gist of the entire knowledge of Vedas, that which is the core knowledge of Vedas is called Vedanta. So here, then the question should come is, when we talk about Vedas, Vedas are split into three portions: Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and Jnana Kanda. Jnana Kanda means the part of knowledge. The Jnana Kanda is what is called as Vedanta. That is what which falls under the category where Upanishads and all comes there. Are called Jnana Kanda. The first two portions, which are much bigger in size, in volume, is actually Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda. Okay, that is the initial portion of Vedas. Why? Because that will guide us into our action, and that portion is also called as Dharma. Now, our actions, the ruler of our actions, the regulator of our actions, or those things which help us evolve through our actions, if there is something like that, that is called Dharma. When I say Dharma here, please do not translate it, do not use the poor translation of Dharma as religion. I told you religion is a very poor translation of the word dharma. And since when I say Sanatan Dharma is a way of life. We do not compete with the other religions available here at all. Let me be very clear to say that. Okay, we are a way of life, and whatever is expounded in Vedas, I told you before also, including Bhagavad Gita, whether you like it or not, whether you follow it or not, whether you know it or not, it is applicable across board to everybody in this world, irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. Now there the word I'm using is religion. It is universally applicable to everyone. I told you before also, there are no different lokas for different set of people following different philosophies. There is no such thing available. Creation is one. It is one for everyone. So if you really want to know the self, the only source of knowledge of the self is Sanatan Dharma Prasthanatrayi. Let me be clear in saying that. So, the knowledge of dharma is something which should become the regulator of our action. Through the knowledge of dharma, by the understanding of dharma, by understanding the boundaries of our dharma, we try to regulate our action. It will help us know the boundaries so that we can remain within the boundaries. And when I say dharma, I told you before also in the Upodghat or Prastavna Bhashya there, that dharma will be according to our varnashram also, according to our varnashram also, according to our ashram vyavastha in life, like brahmachari, there are different sets of dharma. Grahastha, there is a different set of dharma. Vanaprastha, it's a different set of dharma. Sannyasi, there is a different set of dharma. So according to our ashram, where we fall into, there is a different set of dharma. According to our varna, there is a different kind of dharma. Like dharma of brahmana is different, kshatriya is different, vaishya is different, shudra is different. Here one thing very clearly, whenever I use these words, do not point and do not drag me into your or illogical discussions on varna vyavastha. Please do not do that. Here I am not saying it in with any kind of a word of placing someone higher or lower. I'm talking about a general aspect, the dharma of each one of us, according to varna and ashram, is completely different. Then our dharma, wherever we have our social status, according to our social status will also differ. Like the dharma of a policeman and one working in police force is different. The dharma of one working in an army is different. The varna of the dharma of one working in political setup, parliament, is different. A doctor is different, engineer is different. So there will be different dharmas according to where we stand, according to where we are placed in the setup of the society. So that is, and the one of the dharma shastra granth here, now some people may be allergic to it, but I have to say it, what is the truth from here. One of the core or thing of dharma shastra is definitely manusmriti. Okay, manusmriti is definitely one of the thing it's a dharma shastra grantha, by the way. And vedas also, our karma kand and upasana kand is also part of our dharma shastra grantha. So that is what we need to understand. And by the rule of dharma shastra, uh, you know or the rule of dharma shastra has got a direct connection to our actions. And since that is the connection, that is the correct way of understanding it, that is why dharma shastra is the one which can help us improve our habits and nature. That one thing we should know clearly. Being the ruler, being the guide of action, being the oh, setting the boundary of action, being the ruler of action, dharma shastra or the scripture of dharma, the text of dharma, the knowledge of dharma has got a direct connection to our actions, and being the lead one leading the actions, guiding us through the action, ruler of action. It has got a direct connection to our action. But Brahma Gyan, or the knowledge of the self, has got no direct connection to our action at all. Why? Because the knowledge of Vedanta is one which is the piercer, which is the destroyer of action, which makes us understand that the doership is false, the enjoyership is false. By way of expounding upon the doership and enjoyership being false, it actually destroys the action, or I would use the word, it pierces through the action to make us clearly see the actual aspect behind it, actual aspect deep inside it. You know, but this is also a fact that this Brahma Gyan can only happen once we have a pure Antakarana. And pure Antakarana will only come if we have purity of action. And purity of action, and we can only ensure if we understand actions well. And how do we understand actions? The reference guide for understanding actions correctly is going to be the scripture or text pertaining to Dharma Shastra. Pertaining to Dharma. And if and when our inner equipment becomes pure, then only the exchange of knowledge about the self can even happen in our intellect. It cannot happen without that at all. Okay, so that is one thing we need to understand. Only when we when we gain, or when we reach the level of sufficient purity of inner equipment, then only our inner equipment or antakarana becomes eligible or capable to grasp the self knowledge. And only when it has got the required purity, then only with the knowledge edge of self given to it, with the clear understanding of the self given to it, it can generate something called a wisdom about the self. Okay, we use the word called prama. Okay, prama means a clear, doubt free, error free knowledge about the self, which is free from any kind of questions and doubts and filled with complete faith. That is what will be coined with the word called prama. Okay, and when once that prama is generated inside someone, that is what is going to pierce through the doer and the enjoyer. That is what is going to pierce through the actions of the one who is consistently engaged in action, by way of showing him clearly through experience that the doership and enjoyership both are false. So if this is the case, then if we say that through Vedanta our action will become pure, that is not correct at all. Rather, we should understand this correctly. If our actions have become pure, then only our inner equipment will become pure, and then only the knowledge of Vedanta, then only there will be a field ready inside us, in our antakarana space. There will be field ready for the knowledge of Vedanta to get established and rooted in us. This is the correct sequence. Do not try to reverse this sequence at all. Don't do that at all. Do not try to understand it in the reverse way. Now, generally it is seen in the society that great saints in this society, they want to, help people develop faith and devotion towards God. They want to turn their attention from worldly objects to an entity called God. See, when I use the word entity, there is a reason I'm using this. Huh? When I see this world today, we are so much objectified. We are so much caught up in the world of objects. For us to turn our attention from those objects, we will have to have something which is much higher, much happiness giver, a different kind of an object. That is the reason I use the word entity. So that is the reason for having forms of God in Sanatan Dharma. Because to take away your attention from the lower level forms, we need to have a higher level form first. You cannot take your attention from lower level forms directly to the formless. Why? Because your mind is trained to get entangled in forms. Your mind is constantly in the play field of forms. Now, if you are standing in a football ground where all the time your attention is on the ball going from one court to another, and whichever team you are in, either protecting in the goal or struck against your team, or trying to do goal against the other team. So your constantly engagement is there. So in the same way, since we are constantly playing in the field of this world of forms and objects, that is why to take us out, we need to have something called a higher level of form, so that higher and auspicious level of form, which is more powerful than the worldly objects and forms available here, to take us away to that, and from there the journey starts towards the formless. So that is the way you need to understand Sanatan Dharma clearly. Okay, sometimes no, in this spree of trying to be scientist or science oriented students and all, we are very, very fast and we rush through denying the forms. That's a foolishness we do. Forms have been there. It is a mercy of God on us that being formless, He has taken a form. He is not taken a form for Himself. He is taken a form to help fools like us, go above the normal lowly world, low level forms of in the world, forms and objects in the world, to rise above them and reach that from where we have come. There is no other way to rise above that. So do not try to jump directly to formless. The problem which happens is, in the spree of trying to deny that, we do not understand where we end up denying in the existence of God. We end up negating the forms. It's a gross error, gross foolishness, and we are only destroying ourselves with that. Do not end up doing that. I'm very clear. I keep telling in my group also, I keep telling through here also. As a Sanatan Dharmi, develop the habit of going to temples at least once a week with you and your family together. Not for doing anything else, so that you get associated with it. Unless and until you would, separate yourself from the entanglement of worldly forms and objects, which will happen only through a higher form, which is what God has taken as avatara. Avatara of God is not for the whims and fancy of God. It is only to bless us. Bhagwan said, na, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajamyam. Then he says what? Paritranaya sadhunam. Only to help devotees, sadhunam. Only to help those who have dedicated their life, if completely devoted unto me. It becomes my responsibility to uplift them. It becomes my responsibility to protect them. For them, I will come. And since I have no form, I can take any form in this world. What is so difficult for God to do? He is already all pervading. He is in and through everything in this whole cosmos. There is no place where He is not there. How difficult it is for Him to take a form. Yes, just think, I always wonder what kind of a devotee that will be, for whom God decides to come to earth. God decides to appear here. Being formless also, He comes and appears. You just see the devotion of the devotee. What should mesmerize us? What should touch us, what should move us, is the devotion of the devotee, for whom Almighty God, all powerful, all pervading God, comes limiting himself to a form to appear here only for uplifting the devotee, only for protecting the devotee. That is the power of God, and only He can do. And in the spree of trying to be too much scientifically oriented, don't end up denying things. That's wrong. How can we deny things in this world? One thing is very clear in Vedanta, that God is all pervading. So the only purpose when Mahatmas or the great saints and sages talk about God and all these things, through improving their actions, they are only making them ready to turn towards God. Their only purpose is to turn the person towards God. It is, I keep telling this in my group also, the purpose of this podcast is not to associate you or attach you to me. The only purpose of this podcast is to make you attached to God. He is the one permanent. I am not the permanent one here. I am only one small servant at his lotus feet. He is the one who is my boss. He is the one who is the creator. So the purpose of this podcast is to turn towards him. So that is why it is the utmost important thing through this podcast you all should get, is that develop and grow in love and devotion for God. That is the main purpose. The one example I'll give you, that why great saints use these way, those people who teach Yoga Marg, Patanjali Yoga Marg, who spread the knowledge and teachings of yoga, all of them try to associate the benefit, or try to bring the attention of yours or the benefit of yoga as that it is going to make you healthy, hale and hearty. It is going to help you be disease free. It is going to help you cure your disease. Now, remember one thing, the Yoga Darshan, the philosophy of yoga, Patanjali Yoga Shastra, the direct connection of Yoga Shastra, of Patanjali Yoga Shastra, is with Samadhi. Samadhi means establishing yourself in that pure consciousness, and the connection of Samadhi is directly with Drishta. Drishta means the self, right? And the only purpose of actually Yoga Darshan, of Patanjali Yoga Sutra and all, is to help us reach a state of meditation, that we are able to sit quietly for hours without disruption and completely soaked in the self, or Swarupa Avasthan we call it. That is the direct purpose of Yoga Darshan. But even though the purpose of Yoga Shastra or Yoga Darshan, and or the actual goal of Yoga Darshan is Swarupa Avasthan, or making us sit in complete devotion and meditation into the self, then why do these people, great saints, talk about, they all know this fact, right? Even though they know this fact that the direct connection of Yoga Darshan is with Swarupa Avasthan, when they know all these things, then why do they talk about, or this facet, that yoga will help you cure your disease, it will help you cure heart problem, it will help you cure kidney problem, it will help you reduce weight, it will help you control diabetes, it will help you do this, it will help you do that. Why do they talk about these things? Remember, the only purpose of theirs, the only intent of theirs behind it is, they are all desirous of helping the society benefit from things. And unless and until they show these kind of intermediary results, we people are so adamant that if someone comes and says that yoga will help you establish in the self, it will help you meditate. What meditation? I want to work and I want to earn, I want to become wealthy. Oh, the moment they say that it is going to help you cure your disease, it is going to help you remain disease free in life, the first thought which strikes in a human being's mind is, yeah, I am earning so that I can enjoy. And if I want to, enjoy my earning, I have to be free from disease first. I have to live first to enjoy, no? For longer living, I will go the path of yoga. For longevity of mine, I will walk the path of yoga. I want to remain hale and hearty, not for the sake of being hale and hearty, for the sake that I live longer and I enjoy whatever comes out of my hard work, whatever I earn from my hard work. I should enjoy. See, other people also want to, who take part in enjoying. That's okay, but at least I should enjoy, no? So that is how they are turned towards yoga marg. This you will see every saint who talks about yoga always takes the root from health. And it's not that it has got no impact on health. Please do not take that. But I'm saying that's not the sole goal of yoga. Of course, yes, asana pranayam definitely helps us, remain disease free. Definitely, that is one of the results. I'm not discounting that fact at all. But that is not the actual goal of yoga darshan. That is what I'm trying to bring out here. Yes, if you do prolonged practice of yoga, you can cure your illness, you can cure any disease which is there. And many experience of people also talks that also you can remain in disease free. All those things are there, but that's not the goal of yoga darshan. The goal of yoga darshan is also swarupa avasthan. That is why it is part of, what you call that, uh, you know uh, it is called, it's part of astik darshan. Yoga darshan also forms part of astik darshan. When I spoke about the philosophy in Sanatana Dharma, I classified long back. It's not that I classified. The classification I explained you what is there given by rishis is split into two parts: nastik darshan and astik darshan. Nastik darshan is that which do not accept Vedas as the proof of expounding upon the knowledge of self. Astik darshan are those which definitely accepts Vedas as pramana, as the proof of the knowledge of self. And Yog darshan is definitely part of Astik darshan. So the goal of Yog Darshan is also going to be Swarupavasthan, the final goal I'm talking about. All the other things are intermediary path. The same thing happens with Vedant also. For gaining Vedant, you will have to gain purity of intellect first. With the for purity of intellect, you will correct the actions first, isn't it? You will have pure intent behind the action. So with the pure intention and things behind the action, trying to correct the action, you will follow Dharma Shastra. When you follow Dharma Shastra, then definitely remember one thing: slowly, gradually, you gain purity, and you will get, with pure action, you will gain pure results. You will get higher results. You will have horizontal growth. Who stops you from there? All those things are there, but is that the only thing which is wanted from there? No, the purpose is to make you ready to receive the knowledge about the self. That is what you need to understand, and from this whole discussion. So why do all the teachers of or the gurus of Yog Marg tell us that it is going to help us resolve our diseases, cure our illnesses, cure our diseases, make us disease free and all? Remember one thing: the only purpose of them is to turn our interest towards this. Our interest from the worldly objects and too much extravagant enjoyment or not, it is only turning our attention towards this. So once the attention is turned, remember one thing: slowly, gradually, one day of prolonged practice, we will definitely turn towards samadhi also. This person is going to turn towards samadhi also, and will get into the practice of samadhi also, because he will understand that if yoga has given me this result, yoga has got other results also. Why not I go and explore that path? What happens if I do deeper into that? So all those things will come slowly, gradually. It's not that this path is only going to cure your disease. No, that's not the only thing. The moment we do asana pranayam and shuddhahar means pure food, we turn towards pure food, pure engagement with the world, purity of engagement with the world. At the moment we get into all these things, remember one thing we'll start experiencing is that we'll start experiencing a kind of peace and calmness in our intellect. And the environment of peacefulness and calmness will start to arise in our intellect. And the moment I start tasting the facet of the experience of peace and calmness in my intellect, remember, I'll slowly gradually start to love it, because definitely that is higher than all kind of worldly enjoyment and other things. And all those kind of subtle projections which are there, or subtle distractions which are there in my intellect, remember, slowly gradually they will start to get away from such distractions. Slowly gradually will start to walk away from such distracting thoughts. And definitely, for sure, at the end of it, as a culmination, slowly gradually this person will come onto the track of walking the path of a seeker. In the same way, just as it is true for the path of Ashtanga Yoga, the same thing is true for the path of Vedanta also. Okay, all the great saints and great teachers and gurus of Vedanta explain Vedanta in such a way that this Vedanta is going to help us beautify our nature and habits. Remember, they will show us that Vedanta will especially help you, equip you with a spiritual stamina, which is going to be helpful for you to resolve all the kind of problems which arise in your life. It will help you to become capable to bear all the kind pair of opposites which keep appearing every now and then in life. You will slowly gradually gain the capability to walk through them, through the pair of opposites. You know, none of us sit in a Vedant satsang with a low level result in mind. And the only one thing we need to remember is that even if we keep the lower results of Vedanta in mind, and even keeping those lower results of Vedanta in mind, we make sure that we go and attend them, we go and participate in them. Remember, one thing is for sure, some or the other positive effect it will surely leave inside you. And slowly, gradually, your intellect will also start to know that there is something called satsang, which is greatly helpful, and it is high time I should also start participating in them, even though it may be only sometimes here and there. And the truth which Bhagavan is trying to bring out with this particular verse is, even a man of wisdom, a man who's a jnani, jnanavan, that man also acts in the world according to the nature cultivated by this man. Jnanavan api swasyaha prakritehe sadrisham eva cheshtate. If that is the state of a man of knowledge, man of wisdom, then what to talk about ignorant people like us? How better will we be? For improving our action, for making our actions auspicious, for correcting the trajectory of our action, the one thing which we require in us is the rule of dharma should be established in us. Okay, remember, the moment the rule of dharma is established, what is that Bhagavan said in Bhagavad Gita? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati. If we establish the rule of dharma in us, then one more thing we should all understand clearly. The moment we get established in the rule of dharma within us, if there are times when external situations are such, so windy and gushy, that they are making us fall down from that path. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati. The moment Bhagwan sees that this person established in dharma is being forced by situation, God will send help to you directly. Even if he has to take an avatara, he can do that also, but be assured that he will send you help directly, because he has said in Bhagavad Gita himself, yada yada hi, whenever that happens, wherever it happens also, we should take that truth, provided, but you have to be established correctly in dharma first, that action you have to do that first, then God will ensure that he sends you help whenever need be. Somebody says, no man, I was, surrounded by the situation in some way. I was in so much agitation in my mind that there seems to be no way to get out of this. And long time practice which I have done to establish myself in dharma, I have to fall down from that path. Suddenly somebody came and knocked my door. It could be a guru, it could be help sent by God. He is all pervading. He is aware of everything we go through. And remember, in Sanatan Dharma, we do not have a concept of God who is sitting somewhere different, far from us, watching us from above. No, He is well here with and within us, through everything, in and through everything. So he is aware of whatever we are going through very clearly. So he will ensure that the help come. Some people say, I was going through this difficult situation. Suddenly some podcast reached me. Suddenly somebody or talk on Gita ji or Upanishad or something just fell in my lap. As if I was scrolling through and I hit that end. How did it happen? Please understand, that's how yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati, he Bhagwan only, he is sending the help to you. I told you, he is the sole trustee of this path of spirituality. Sole trustee is the word I'm using. Rest anybody can claim as a trustee or whatever, but they will be claiming in vague. But remember, Goswami Tulsidas ji also says this very clearly in Ramcharitmanas, that Bhagwan, who are you? You are the sole trustee of this path of Sanatana Dharma. Very simple and clear. So whosoever establishes dharma in them, Bhagwan makes sure to send them help whenever it is required. So to improve the quality and texture of our actions, remember, we all need something called as a rule of dharma within us. Dharma should start ruling us within us. And with that, we can definitely manifest, we can definitely grow, we can definitely cultivate beautiful nature within us, beautiful habits within us. Remember, bhakti or devotion also definitely is something which helps us improve our nature, improve our habit, improve something called a culture within us. Bhakti or devotion actually makes our nature humble, soft, you know, uh, free from any kind of cruelty, and deploy something called, makes us actually a lover of truth, and also can make us be fearless, nirbhaya. So we come back to this particular question. Nature is within all of us, and if we all act according to our nature, which is there within all of us, then what is the way we can understand this teaching? What is that which Bhagwan is trying to drive with this is teaching to us? If nature is something none of us can change, then how we as human beings can improve, can evolve, can walk or correct our path? You know, as a human being, we are completely bound by our nature, and that's exactly what Bhagwan is saying here. then the question comes is, can the nature be changed or not? Can we change our habits and nature or not? You know, and since our nature has got something which has been flowing in for a long period of time, in flowing in one fashion for a long period of time, and we also try to identify people by seeing them, oh, this person, he's like this only, and oh, and thinking that only we act with that person, that this person has been like this only, don't think this person is going to change. 10 years later also, oh, when somebody meets someone, the one thing which is one firm understanding in the intellect of the person and about the person we meet is that his nature is like this only, he's been like this only, I don't think there will be any change. Means what? That each one of us as human being are bound by our own nature, and our nature is that which we have been living since our childhood, rather I would say the way we have lived in our previous life also. And nature and habit is something which is attached with us from the right from the childhood itself. And whereas the other things like situations, education, friends, age, all these things keep changing around us, but nature is something which has been with us in the same form since the childhood. Oh, I was seeing one video today, or I would say that just came across a video today, that there were two children playing on a, what do you call that, uh, some slide or something, and one child actually pushed the other child down. So that the debate which came up was that, why did this child do like that? It is something in some nature which has been there, but parents never work towards correcting that with the child. So it continuously nurtured, and the child has become into that habit now. So remember one thing, if we have children, we need to have 8 to 10 eyes to watch over them, that where they need our correction. Please remember that, raising child is not such easy thing at all. And one thing more I'll tell you, which I keep telling and sharing with parents, by the way, that even if you have some help, during the day, with your helping with your child, but remember one thing, never ever leave your child completely to the caretaker. Because the one thing you need to understand is, caretaker is working for a salary. Okay, the goal of caretaker is salary, so that he can take care of his or her family. The goal of take care can never be the well-being of your child. Okay, he's a worker, he or she is a worker. So the responsibility of the child will never be on the caretaker, it will always be on the parent. So you must see what kind of time the caretaker is spending with the children. You must watch over that, and you have to minutely watch from the interaction of the child. It is very important. Sometimes we miss that aspect. Caretaker can never become a parent, and parent do not want the caretaker to become the parent also. So do not end up leaving your child completely to the caretaker, that caretaker will decide what kind of habit and nature to be cultivated in your child. That's a very very wrong understanding. So I to keep telling people that when you have child, you have to take time off for your child by any chance. That is something which we are not discounted from that responsibility at all. That is one thing we need to understand. One thing we all feel is also that there is no difference between me and my nature, but it is not true at all. It is not true that no change has ever happened in us. No, it's not that. If you carefully look at yourself also, over a period of time something or the other must have changed. And people who are around us also notice if something changes in us. It's not that it becomes non-noticeable. Goswami Tulsidas ji says, mitai na malin swabhav abhangu. The bad habits, malin swabhav, those bad habits or incorrect nature which we have cultivated, that they become abhang. Abhang means they cannot be pierced through, they cannot be resolved. If that is correct, then how can we talk about in satsang and all about improvement in the nature and habits of people? You know, yes, it is true that the entire nature can flip aside or flip over or completely change, looks very difficult. But it is definitely incorrect to say that nature does not change. That is also not correct at all. Nature do change. It is not something which has come with me from time immemorial. It is something which has come only, no, which has been cultivated only, no. Then it can be changed. That which has come can go also. All the bad habits, I'll tell you one thing honestly. Some criminals, when they are caught after the act of crime, why are they put into the jail? Because they are given an opportunity to change. Only those who after a period of time of putting them somewhere, we or the law authorities see that there is no change at all, or rather he's becoming worse from there, he is continuously put for life imprisonment or given death sentence or whatever, whichever way you call it. So only those who we see that there is no intention in them to make a change. If you have an intention to change, if you have an intention to work upon yourself to improve, trust me, the external nature will also come to help you. That is one thing you need to understand. Nature is something which has been made, and whatever has been made or cultivated is not permanent. Bhashyakar says here, sir, when Bhashyakar talks about the Prakriti here, Prakriti nama purvakrit dharma dharmadi samskara vartamana janmadao abhivyakta sa Prakriti. Whatever dharma and adharma culture we have cultivated in the earlier life also, or in the current life also, that is what, and when we see the expression of that, that is what is called as Prakriti. Tasyaha sadrisham eva sarvo jantuhu jnanavan api. All of them, we'll see that they are manifesting the nature which has been cultivated in them. Bhashyakar also says that. It is dharma, adharma, actions what we have created as an impression from this life and past life. And there are some things which have been cultivated from past life. There are some things which have gone into the root of our nature from the past life. It has become a mula prakriti. It's become core in our nature. Uh, After gaining the birth, after being born here, through education and cultivation of culture, we can make an attempt, we can make an effort to change our nature, or cultivate or convert that into good nature. And uh, these are all external layers of our personality which are there. Many times people also say, you are praising him so much, try and living with him for some days, you will understand what his nature is. You will understand, you will understand and know the reality of this person's personality. Means what? Mula prakriti, or our core nature, is something which is hidden behind the layers of our external nature which we show. Okay. And even though it may be hidden behind that, but it is not something which changes easily. Prakriti or nature is something which is definitely firm. It is definitely so called existent, so called permanent, but it is true that changing it is not easy at all. It is very difficult. It is completely true that it is very difficult to change the nature. But it is definitely not correct to say that nature cannot be changed. This is not correct at all if we say this way, that nature cannot be changed. It may be true that it is difficult to change depending upon how strengthened we have made that impression. It may be difficult to change depending upon how we give air to the manifestation of that and how we keep supporting that and keep manifesting it within us. But it is definitely not true that it cannot be changed. Goswami Tulsidas ji on one side says Swabhav is something which cannot be pierced, so it is abhang, because it is very difficult to change it. It is not false at all to say that it is very difficult to change it. But in another place, Goswami Tulsidas ji writes this also: Sat Sudarahi Sat Sangati Pai. The only way to improve our nature, to correct our nature, to install in us correct kind of culture, the only way for that, or the only strong cause of that, is when we get associated with satsang. That change is possible only with satsang. Whether the nature is coming from our past life and it is continued to be maintained here, but remember, it is something which has been cultivated, so it is something which can be destroyed or changed also. It is something which can be overturned also. If it has been made, it can be changed also. How it can be changed, that process is what Bhagwan is teaching us in the next verse number 34. Arjun, you should also make your life like this and see it yourself, how the nature in you changes. Whether the nature in you changes or not, you experience it yourself. So before I go to the verse number 34, I'll read Pujya Gurudev's commentary on verse number 33. Pujya Gurudev says, even the man of knowledge acts in conformity with his own nature, which is determined by the pattern of thoughts that arise in him. At any given instant of time, each one of us is determined by the thoughts that are in us at that moment. And the thoughts in us always get patternized by the channels of thinking designed by the thoughts which we had entertained in the past. The nature of each individual is decided by the style of thinking which each is capable of. The man of knowledge mentioned here indicates one who has read and understood thoroughly the technique of action as explained in this chapter. Even when he knows the technique, the Lord says that it is not easy for him to follow it, because his mind is designed to carry his thoughts through egocentric and selfish channels, ever panting to gain some desires. Because of these past impressions, vasanas, even an honest student finds it hard to practice this simple looking technique in his life. The reason is quite universal. Beings follow their own nature. Naturally, what can restraint do when nature is too powerful? The last statement in the stanza, what can restraint do, is not a cry of despair in Krishna's philosophy. It is the honest, all seeing vision of the philosopher in Krishna, who recognizes that the higher ways of living are not meant for all. Men crowding on the lowest rung of the evolutionary ladder, overwhelmed by their own animal passions, find themselves incapable of renouncing them and are therefore incapacitated to walk the path of action. It is only a slightly evolved entity full of enthusiasm, activity, and a passion for progress, Rajoguna, who can follow this sacred path and benefit himself. This honest confession shows the broad mindedness and tolerance of Krishna, the universal teacher. This is what Pujya Gurudev has to say in the commentary of verse number 33. Now we'll read verse number 34. I'll read the connecting bhashya of verse number 34 first of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, and read the connecting statement of Pujya Gurudev connecting verse number 33 to 34, and then we'll take over the verse. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji in his connecting bhashya says, यदि सर्वो जंतु आत्मनः प्रकृति सदृशम एव चेष्टते न च प्रकृति शून्यः कश्चिद् अस्ति ततः पुरुषकारस्य विषयानुपपत्तेः शास्त्रानर्थक्य प्राप्तौ इदम् उच्यते. यदि सर्वो जंतु, if all of us as jiva, जंतु आत्मनः प्रकृति सदृशम एव चेष्टते, all of us, if all of us born as jiva, all of us as jiva act according to our respective nature, we run after, we do our actions, we run after things, we chase actions according to our respective nature, and none of us nacha prakriti shunya kaschid asti, and if none of us are without a nature at all, without any kind of nature at all, means what? If none of us are with zero nature at all, tatah purushakarasya vishayanupapattehe, then, and as a human being, why will there be a need by us to put an effort uh, by way of those scriptures, what they are guiding us in terms of vidhi nisheda? All those scriptures which are expounding us through vidhi and nisheda, means doables and non-doables, doables and prohibited action, by guiding us correctly through that path, why will there be a need by human being to put any effort uh, uh, by way of that things which are guided by the scriptures in terms of doable and those things which are prohibited? Then all those scriptures will become useless, they'll be meaningless for us, so to say. On that is what Bhagwan is saying here. Puja Gurudev also writes in his connecting commentary, if every being acts only according to his own nature and there is none that has not a nature of his own, then there is no scope for personal exertion and the teaching becomes purposeless. The Lord explains as follows. That is what Bhagwan and Shankaracharya ji has to say in the Bhashya, and Puja Gurudev has to write in the connecting commentary to that. Now let's move into verse number 34. We'll read the verse first and see the literal meaning. I am not going to read the Bhashya Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji for this verse in today's session. That I'll read at the start of next session, because I'm only taking some part of this today as expounding the meaning. Rest we'll see in the next session. Verse number 34, chapter 3. इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नवशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ. Brilliant verse. Another brilliant verse by Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna. Indriyasyendrasyarthe ragadveshau vyavasthitau tayornavashamagachet tauhyasya paripanthinau. Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna brings in front of us a reality of life about this world. He is talking about, he is bringing in front of us the reality of life, so that we know in this world there is no one. Okay, now I'm repeat my word. There is no one in this world whose senses do not have this thing called raga and dvesha towards respective objects of their respective senses. Raga and dvesha. Okay, let me translate it mildly for you to understand. There is no one in this creation who do not have liking or disliking, liking and disliking towards the respective objects of his senses. I'm just giving you an example for you to know. In even if we talk about food also, why I brought out food, that even Mahatmas and great saints also eat food. Do you mean to say that they do not have liking and disliking towards things of the food? It can't be. Senses, if are there, they will have liking and disliking according to each one of us. That is true and it is correct. Without liking and disliking, no one will be there. Okay. Now, each one of us will have kind of liking towards the objects of our senses, and would have things of or aspects of disliking also towards objects of the senses. Every object is not liked by everybody in this creation, and every object is not disliked also by everyone in this creation. Every object in this creation will have liking and disliking. Okay, why should I go far? Let me say this way directly. Even if somebody is teaching Vedanta also, oh oh, he's sitting in a human body to teach, no? Do you think that there will be people, all the people will be liking that person? No, it's not possible. That expectation also is wrong. So a Mahatma also knows this, that in this creation it is not going to be possible that everyone likes you. But it is also true that in this creation it will not also be there that everyone dislikes you. This creation is a mix of people. So a Mahatma, if he enjoys as those who likes him, he also enjoys those who dislikes him. How he enjoys? He looks at it as a play of Prakriti, and he turns toward God and say, God, you are great. Great that you are bringing to me the correct aspect of this world, so that I do not get caught up in misconception that here I am, and maybe in today's world, I can say in the social media world, I have so many followers, so everyone likes me. Remember one thing, many a times followers are also there in a critical aspect sitting there. It is not possible in this world that there will be a person who will be liked by everyone. Why should I go too far? In the time of avatara of Bhagwan, God himself, even though he was God, okay, here I'm saying, he is definitely not touched by anything. For him, it doesn't matter. Even those people who don't like him also, he's sitting as the self inside them also. So see Bhagwan Krishna, at everything he has got this $1,000,000 smile on his face. He smiles at every situation, everything in his life. Lived only few hours with his own parents initially, then was taken to Vrindavan or Gokul to stay there. Then he had to leave them, come back. But the $1,000,000 smile on his face has never gone. Why? Because if it is true that this creation is a mix of all kind of people, it is also a eternal truth that there is no one in this creation who will be liked by everyone. So do not live in that misconception. Do not have the wrong concept in your head at all. I'm telling you very honestly, I also come across all kind of people. I enjoy both, interaction with both. I enjoy interaction with both. The people who like also, the people who dislike also, the people who praise also, the people who are critical also. Everyone is expressing their own nature. Why should we worry about them? So it is not a worry at all. And that if after talking from Vedanta perspective, if I have this expectation that everyone will like me, then I don't think I have understood even an aspect of Vedanta, so to say. So the fact is very clear that there is no one in this world who will not have likings and dislikings, or attachment and aversion at the level of senses, as long as he or she is living in the world. And there is no object in this world on the other side also. When I spoke about us as human beings, on the other side also, there is no object in this world available which is completely free from liking or disliking. There is no object in this world which is disliked by everyone. There is no object in this world which is liked by everyone. So as a human being, if we understand this truth, our life will be very easy and simple. At the level of senses, the attachment and aversion towards objects are, established in a way at the level of senses. And you can take any object in this creation. Now let me give example. The object of field of action of eyes is actually form. Okay. Now remember one thing, some form are liked by some form are liked by some form are disliked by some form are not disliked by some. So it is a truth of this life which we all need to understand. Somebody we will like, somebody we may not like. Somebody will be good, somebody may not be good. So that thing is very clear. Nobody can say this, that whatever I see from my eyes, all the forms I see from my eyes, I like. And I'm sorry, it is not possible. And in the same way, the same thing goes for the objects of other senses also, like ears, means what we hear, shabda, taste, swad, gandha, smell, sparsha, touch. Or at every aspect of this, what I just said is absolutely the truth of life. It is also a fact that there is no object in this world which are disliked by everyone. It is true that every object in this world will be liked by some and disliked by some. In the aspect of taste also, it is a known fact that everyone will have something which he or she likes, something which he or she does not like. And that thing which a person likes, the moment it is consumed or eaten, he will experience some kind of it may be temporary, but some kind of contentment and fulfillment, tripti we call it. And it can only be felt if he or she consumes a thing of his liking. It don't think that something which he doesn't like is placed in front of him and he eats, and you say, why are you not feeling fulfilled and contented? It's not possible. Those things which we do not like, how can it generate a thought of fulfillment or contentment, even if it is temporary within us? you know because of this fact is something which should be known to us, that there are things which some people may say as bad, some people may say as good. And there are objects, like common there are common things also. Some things can be, can be an object of multiple senses also. Oh, you can see that every aspect of sense, you will see that there will be objects of liking and disliking, attachment or aversion. So the only fact which keeps changing is the quantum of liking and disliking, quantum of attachment and aversion. Some things liking may be more, something may be less, that may differ, but it is a fact of life that without that senses do not function. That much for today. Rest we will see in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि, श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत्।